The Galactic Council convened beneath the crystalline arches of Veridax Prime, a meeting called under the guise of diplomacy. Humans, still new to the interstellar stage, had sent Ambassador Elena Miles, a seasoned negotiator with a reputation for patience. Her child, Ava, accompanied her as part of a symbolic outreach for peace. Other species brought delegates and guards. Humanity brought hope. The dispute was minor by galactic standards, a mining colony on the edge of contested space. Earth had filed claims, as had the Trelvari Dominion. Tensions simmered, but no weapons had been drawn. That should have been the end of it. But Earth had made enemies, not through war, but through its ideals. Its refusal to submit to galactic conformity. Its insistence on transparency, on sovereignty, and worst of all, on being heard. When Miles spoke at the tribunal, she exposed illegal council activity, backroom deals, hidden agendas. Her words, clear and backed by evidence, left no room for rebuttal. She embarrassed them, and the council did not tolerate humiliation. In what would later be called a precautionary security measure, Ava was taken from her quarters during a recess. Miles found out too late. The child had been accused of data theft, a fabricated charge. Within 3 hours, without trial or appeal, she was executed. The footage was delivered to the human delegation before they were escorted off-world. No apology, no explanation, just a data chip. Cold, clinical. The council expected outrage, perhaps a declaration of war. They anticipated retaliatory fleets, angry broadcasts, petitions to other worlds. They got none. Earth went silent. For 3 days, no human transmissions were detected. No responses to diplomatic channels. No ships left Sol. No demands were made. Whispers began to circulate. Some interpreted the silence as cowardice, others as mourning. A few dismissed it entirely. Humans are emotional. They'll grieve and move on, one counselor sneered. But not everyone was at ease. The Kelry archives began to trend in the deeper data markets, particularly entries referencing early human mythos. Ancient war records, declassified during humanity's induction into the Council, resurfaced. Fragments spoke of weapons that were never fully explained. Campaigns never officially recorded. Entire enemy civilizations removed from memory. Not defeated, erased. These were dismissed as exaggerations. Old war stories embellished for fear or glory. Humans, after all, have been peaceful since first contact. Cooperative, honest, transparent, predictable. But predictability is often just the calm before something worse. In the quiet days following Ava's death, no one noticed that the moon base Luna 7 went dark. Its operations were rerouted without explanation. No word came from Mars Command, nor from the Antarctic research grid. Global communications on Earth experienced minor outages, dismissed as solar interference. Ambassador Miles returned to Earth and disappeared from public view. The Trelvari ambassador gave a public address. Justice has been served, he claimed, and peace preserved. He was assassinated 12 hours later by an unknown assailant. The method was clean, surgical, no trace, no claim of responsibility, only a symbol, etched in his chamber wall with subatomic precision, a hand clenched in fire. It meant nothing to most species, but to humans, it was a mark not seen in over 1,000 years. Old Terran military historians, long since repurposed as museum curators and academic lecturers, suddenly vanished from their posts. Research facilities requested decryption keys last used during the pre-expansion epoch. Linguistic AI across Earth's networks began processing dead dialects. Still, no official statement was made. The Council sent envoys. None returned. By the 7th day, fear set in. The silence wasn't mourning. It was preparation. And as the Council debated procedural responses and formed internal committees to assess potential threats, something ancient began to stir beneath Earth's crust, beneath layers of time, politics, and long-forgotten wars. Ava Miles was not just a victim. She was the catalyst, the final miscalculation. And the price for that mistake was about to be paid. Beneath the icy layers of Antarctica, A vault stirred for the first time in 11 centuries. Not a prison, nor a tomb, something older than either. A relic not of faith or science, but of necessity. The code to open it had been broken only once before, during the Orion incursion. And even then, Earth barely survived what it unleashed. This time, there was no debate. Protocol 13 authorized its activation. The command chain bypassed generals, governments, and even AI governors. Earth's planetary defense grid routed all resources toward reawakening the contingency. A decision made not in vengeance, but in cold calculation. Humanity had built weapons during the dark ages of its rise. Living weapons, not machines. Not fleets, not bombs, but something far more dangerous, made flesh. A being bred in the vacuum between stars, trained not for conquest, but for punishment. His name was unrecorded in modern databases. His designation, wiped after the Treaty of Soul's Redemption. But he had a title, spoken in old Terran dialects, now decoded after centuries of silence: the Champion. Biologically engineered beyond modern ethics, his body was a convergence of extinct DNA, alien biotech, and quantum reinforcement. Bones laced with graphene composites. Neural processors symbiotically bound to quantum cores. Reflexes that outpaced time-indexed AI. But none of that made him dangerous. What made him lethal was memory. Every war Earth had ever fought, every extinction, every betrayal, every loss, had been fed into his mind. He had no personal history, no attachments, only encoded pain, restructured into doctrine. He remembered genocides as strategy. He recalled mercy as failure. When the stasis seals unlocked, he didn't open his eyes. He recited coordinates, 10 of them. Each marked the home world of the senior counselor who had voted for Ava's execution. Locations no human knew, no database had stored. He had felt their signatures. Because his mind, though asleep, had never been fully silent. He was not just a weapon. He was Earth's sentinel, a living psychic echo chamber bound to humanity's pain. When Ava died, he awoke in the dark. Alone, aware, waiting. The moment the last barrier fell, he stepped forward, not with fury, but purpose. Around him, the tech obeyed without instruction. It had been built for him, not the other way around. The facility shifted into motion. Orbit cleared. Global networks rerouted. He emerged, and Earth changed. For the first time in recorded history, Earth did not send a diplomat. It sent him. The message that followed was brief. No preamble, no threat, just one line: judgment has begun. The Council panicked. Not publicly. Their statements remained composed. But behind closed encryption layers, calls were made to ancient defense coalitions. Hidden arsenals were activated. Interceptor fleets repositioned. Warnings were sent to high-threat zones. But they were already too late. The Champion didn't arrive in ships. He did not travel by conventional means. He used conduits embedded in reality itself. Einstein-Rosen fragments mapped only by early human dream theory, long dismissed by the Council as fantasy. He stepped through them. And when he did, entire star systems went dark. No civilian casualties. No collateral destruction. Only targets, Council members, military directors, and architects of the execution, removed with surgical precision. Each death left a mark, a fire-clenched hand, burned into steel, stone, or sky. No two were alike. All were unmistakable. Autopsy reports, when available, showed no wounds. Neural collapse. Molecular entropy. Incomprehensible. Galactic analysts couldn't quantify him. He didn't emit radiation, nor leave a propulsion trail. He didn't use known energy signatures. Attempts to track him failed before they started. Some began to suspect he wasn't alive in the traditional sense, that he had become something else, a force shaped like a man. And still, Earth said nothing. No announcements, no conditions, no endgame, just silence. One by one, the voices that had voted for Ava's death vanished from existence. Not captured, not tried, just gone. Whispers grew among the outer species. If Earth had one champion, did they have more? Was this a fraction of their legacy? Had humans ever been weak, or had they merely been waiting, The Council's fear transformed. No longer fear of war, fear of misunderstanding. Fear that, for all their technology, power, and age, they had never really understood what humanity was. And worse, what it remembered. The first to fall was the Varnak Prime Fortress, positioned within a nebula shielded from most forms of scan. It had never been breached. No alarms triggered. No distress signals sent. Hours later, a probe found the structure split into 7 symmetrical pieces, each segment drifting perfectly in formation. At the center floated a counselor's remains, untouched, eyes open. Then came the Bar-2 defense grid, 67 warships, each armed with stellar fragmentation weaponry, vanished from synchronized orbit. When the relief fleet arrived, they found a single message burned into their command relay. You were warned. Across the galaxy, panic spread, not among civilians, yet but among those in power. Defensive protocols were rewritten on the fly. Alliances once steeped in centuries of bureaucracy were formed in hours. Armies mobilized. Propaganda spun a new narrative, a rogue human asset, out of control, acting against Earth's wishes. But the champion left no uncertainty. Each act was surgical, each message clear. These were not random attacks. These were executions. Punishment, not conquest. Each strike followed council records. Each target aligned precisely with those who endorsed the execution. Not advisors, not subordinates, only decision-makers. Justice in its purest, coldest form. Earth did not intervene. It offered no denial, no apology, no restraint. The absence of diplomacy was its own declaration. Some races pleaded for negotiation. Others issued threats, invoking ancient pacts and mutually assured destruction doctrines. The champion ignored them all. He did not act with emotion. He moved with inevitability. At a council summit hastily relocated to a neutral system, members debated the use of forbidden technology. Quantum erasure bombs, star collapsers, the kinds of weapons that violated galactic law and risked mass extinction. The vote never happened. By the time they reached quorum, the champion was already there. Witnesses described him not as a man, but as something conceptual. Some claimed to see only a shimmer, others a figure of fire and void. Whatever form he took, none survived long enough to study it. The summit chamber disintegrated without explosion. Matter unraveled. Every counselor marked for death vanished mid-sentence. One survived, a junior aide, spare not by design but oversight. He recorded a single phrase before losing consciousness. Your justice ends where ours begins. Across the stars, fear changed shape. No longer fear of humanity's wrath. Fear of its precision, of its memory, of the fact that Earth had not just prepared for war. It had prepared for punishment. Calculated, contained, patient. Species that once mocked humanity's idealism now studied its silence. Universities updated curricula. War colleges rewrote doctrine. Entire civilizations shifted policy around one unspoken truth. If Earth had this champion, what else did it have in reserve? Some began to worship him. Cults sprang up in outer colonies. They called him the Silent Flame, the judge between stars, the memory of Earth. Council authorities tried to stamp them out but failed. For every effort to erase his image, another dozen spread it further. Even in death, his targets became warnings. Council worlds marked by his judgment became uninhabitable, not through destruction, but through psychological collapse. The dread he left behind could not be measured. Infrastructure remained, resources untouched, yet no one stayed, not even scavengers. Alien leaders began issuing open apologies to Earth, even if they had no involvement. Some offered reparations, others offered tribute. Earth responded to none of them, because Earth wasn't listening. The champion was, and he had not yet finished. Internal transmissions among human military command were leaked weeks later. One line, parsed from a corrupted data burst, ignited further fear. Stage 1 complete. Awaiting directive for secondary enforcement. No one knew what Stage 2 entailed. Some believed it meant total war. Others feared it meant something worse, non-existence. Removal from memory, from record, from time itself. Desperation took hold. A joint alliance of 8 species mobilized a final defense fleet. Their flagship, equipped with time-phase weaponry, hypershielding, and an AI core modeled after Earth's own early prototypes, was deployed to intercept. It returned in pieces. No battle report. No black box. Just fragments. And in one fragment, written in a language Earth hadn't used for 1,000 years, you mistook mercy for peace. You mistook silence for weakness. You will not make that mistake again. The champion remained active. The galaxy held its breath. Earth remained silent. And judgment continued. The last counselor fled to the edge of the galaxy, to a world hidden in dimensional folds even ancient empires feared to map. Guarded by fractal space-time traps, its coordinates were known only to 3 species, 2 of which had already been silenced by the champion. The planet's surface was sterile. No population. No life. Only a fortress built from paradox metal and entropy anchors, designed to exist partially out of phase with reality. It had one purpose: to hide those who believed themselves above consequence. The counselor sealed herself within and waited. Defensive systems activated. Temporal dampeners froze causality in place. Even time itself would require permission to pass through. Yet still, she felt it, the certainty. Not a threat, not a presence. A fact. The champion was coming. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, reactions diverged. Some species isolated themselves, closing borders, deleting records, hoping to erase any trace of association. Others submitted to Earth preemptively, swearing loyalty, restructuring governments, integrating Terran protocols into their legal systems. Not out of respect, but survival. Humanity had not responded to any messages since the judgment began. No spokesperson appeared. No representative returned to the council. Earth's silence remained total. It neither confirmed nor denied the champion's actions. It simply watched. This was not vengeance. It was precedent. For millennia, the Galactic Council had operated under the illusion that order was maintained through bureaucracy, through hierarchy, through control. Justice had been measured by influence, not integrity. Ava Miles had exposed the gap between law and power. The champion filled it, and then surpassed it. The final act came without warning. The hidden fortress did not explode. It did not collapse. It simply ceased. One moment, it registered on long-range scans. The next, it didn't. Not destroyed, removed. Observatories analyzing the phenomenon concluded no energy discharge occurred. Space itself hadn't bent. It had been rewritten. Where the counselor had hidden, there was now only silence. No debris, no radiation, no decay. The laws of physics reasserted themselves, as if her existence had been a temporary error, now corrected. Galactic records updated automatically. Her name vanished. Legal documents amended themselves. Historical entries adjusted in real time. Entire systems forgot her face. The champion had not just ended her. He had erased the outcome she represented. That some lives were above judgment. And with that, the executions ended. No new deaths followed. No new messages appeared. The champion disappeared. Earth remained silent. But silence no longer meant weakness. It meant warning. Across thousands of worlds, civilizations changed policy. Diplomatic tones softened. Aggression gave way to respect. Not one new claim was filed against Earth for the next decade. Disputes involving humans were resolved in their favor more often than not. No one pushed back, because now, every species knew what failure to respect humanity could cost. Academies began studying Earth's history, not for diplomacy, but for survival. Researchers revisited the age of Earth's fragmentation, when it nearly destroyed itself through war, and yet emerged with clarity. They saw in humanity not volatility, but control. Not chaos, but precision. A race capable of shaping extinction into doctrine. The champion had proven something few had considered, that humanity had mastered violence not through conquest, but through containment. It had learned how to leash its worst monster, and when to unleash it. Years passed. Council systems rebuilt under new charters, ones rewritten with Earth in mind. The concept of absolute immunity was abolished. No official, no matter how high, would ever be untouchable again. Transparency was enforced not by choice, but fear. Ava Miles was never forgotten. Her name became a rallying point, not just among humans, but among species that had once been voiceless under Council rule. Statues rose in her memory. Not grand, simple. A child holding a data slate, eyes forward, not vengeance, just truth. Earth never issued a statement. The champion never returned. But in the genetic archives beneath Antarctica, in a vault no longer active but never fully decommissioned, one phrase remained etched into the core command line. Only when justice dies does the champion wake. And now, everyone understood what that meant. The galaxy had not been taught a lesson. It had been corrected,